someone like Charlie Kirk, he should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him.
September 10th, 2025, under President Donald J. Trump, America should be celebrating strength, recovery, and renewal. But instead, we're staring into the abyss because tonight, the FBI just dropped a bombshell. The assassin who gunned down Charlie Kirk has been caught. Yes, he's been caught. Anybody believe that this is really the guy who is the shooter? But instead of closure, this revelation has ripped open a wound that may never heal. And let me tell you something here. The details of the FBI has just revealed they're not comforting. In fact, they're haunting. They're very terrifying, in fact. I mean, they're a warning. This is really a warning shot for every single one of us here in America. Now, think about what just happened, okay? Charlie Kirk wasn't hiding in a bunker. He wasn't traveling with armed convoys. He was doing what he always did, standing in the open, answering tough questions, debating students, defending America's values. He's a father of two guys. He's a husband. He's a Christian, a 31-year-old leader of a brand new generation of conservatives. And in the middle of all of it, he was executed. One single shot, a sniper's bullet fired from nearly 200 yards away. They cut him down in front of the very students that he was inspiring. And I'm even seeing reports, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that his daughter was near the tent or in the tent too. Can anybody confirm that for me? So here's the most chilling part of all of this. The FBI, they're not even saying that this is case closed. They're warning that this may be bigger, much bigger. Lists, plots, threat. This may actually just be the beginning and an agenda that didn't stop with Charlie. So what this means is that this wasn't just about silencing one man. This was about sending a message to millions of Americans who dare to think, speak, and even resist. So I want to go ahead and ask the question that the mainstream media won't. If Charlie Kirk can be gunned down in broad daylight at a freaking college campus under the banner of the American comeback, then what chance do the rest of us have, right? Now, don't look to the mainstream press for any kind of answers because they're way too busy just mocking and spinning, even hinting that Charlie somehow deserved what happened. Can you imagine that, guys? A man assassinated, and the first instinct of America's elite media is to justify it like he deserved it?
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead
hate
to
speech,
hateful words, which then lead to
so it's his fault.
Action.
So here's what they won't tell you. This is clearly bigger than politics. This is bigger than Charlie. This is about you. This is about me. This is about every single American who believes in free speech, debate, truth, and faith. Now, make no mistake, guys. The bullet that took Charlie Kirk's life today wasn't just aimed at him. It was aimed at the very heart of America.
We're canceling our events for obvious reasons. I got to confer with the crew on exactly how this plays out and what this means. But my phone is on fire right now with security. It's at the highest level it could possibly be. And we had an upcoming event. I was going to be on the ground at a university doing much the same.
Tonight, I want to go ahead and walk you guys through everything, the shocking FBI revelations, the contradictions in the case, the disturbing online threats that predicted this attack, the reaction of a broken media class, and of course, the dangerous new reality that no one, not even you, is off limits anymore. So guys, this is wild. Hit the like button, subscribe. Check this out.
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
Wow. So was this the warning that they're talking about? September 10th, 2025, President Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. But tonight, this America feels like it's hanging by a thread. The FBI has now confirmed it. Charlie Kirk's assassin has been identified and taken into custody. Now, this is not speculation. This is a fact. The question, though, is he really the shooter? And yet, instead of relief, the nation is now trembling, because here's the haunting reality. If Charlie Kirk, a young father, a husband, a Christian, and one of the most powerful voices of America's youth can be gunned down in broad daylight on a college campus, then who among us is really safe anymore if you think about it, right? Now, this isn't just news. This is a warning shot at every American who dares speak the truth. But I want to rewind just for a second, okay? Utah Valley University. Charlie Kirk, he was doing what he always did, standing under a banner that read American Comeback, fielding tough questions, engaging in debate. Students cheered, challenged, argued. That was the beauty of it, right? But then all of a sudden, in a flash, it was just all over. One shot, just one shot from nearly 200 yards away is what we're hearing reports of a rooftop sniper crouched in the shadows, squeezed the trigger. The bullet ripped through Charlie's neck, and in seconds, you've seen the video, you've seen the viral clips of what happened to Charlie. In seconds, the man who inspired millions of people just collapsed. Blood spilled in front of a horrified group of students. His family literally watched the worst horror film that they could have ever experienced. Now, at first, of course, the police, they thought that they had their guy. A 70-year-old man was cuffed, marched out in front of cameras, but within hours, the story completely flipped. Did you guys hear about that? Witnesses swore he wasn't even the shooter. So he was released. Then came the surveillance footage, the smoking gun. Cameras caught a figure in all black crawling across the roof, then sprinting into the distance after the shot rang out. The images are seared into America's memory. Doesn't that sound familiar? That whole scene where, there's a rooftop shooter and the target is a political figure, right? So then you got FBI Director Kash Patel. He delivered the announcement. A new person of interest was in custody. Interrogations were underway. The assassin of Charlie Kirk has been caught, so we've been told. But that really begs the question, who exactly is this person? And more importantly, what else did the FBI just uncover? Now, here's where it gets even darker, guys. Inside the interrogation room, the FBI is pulling threads and, what they found uncovered. This is actually going to haunt this country for God knows how long. This wasn't some random act of madness. This assassin had been plotting for days, maybe even weeks. The FBI confirmed that there were online warnings, posts dripping with hatred saying, "I really hope someone evaporates him." Another post saying, "Tomorrow something big will happen." These weren't just words, they were promises. And now Charlie Kirk is dead. But it doesn't end there, guys. The chatter revealed something terrifying. Charlie wasn't the only target. The FBI is quietly admitting that this shooter may have been part of a wider plan, a list of names, a broader agenda, a war against voices of truth. The question isn't who pulled the trigger anymore. The bigger question is, how far does this go and who is next?
How worried do you get about somebody taking up the cause of Charlie Kirk?
So I don't want to sugarcoat this. This assassination sends a message. If Charlie Kirk can be executed for speaking freely, anybody can be silenced. Think about it. I mean, Charlie wasn't hiding. He wasn't armed. He was a husband. He was a father of 2 small children. He believed in open debate and free speech and confronting ideas on college campuses instead of canceling them. And for that, what? He's shot in the neck like a criminal in the streets of a third world dictatorship? I mean, is this the America that we live in now? This is bigger than Charlie, guys. This is about America's soul. Are conservative voices being marked for elimination? Are we entering an era where free speech is punishable by death? And the very haunting image of all of this, you got Charlie Kirk's wife and 2 young kids that are left behind. This is a family that's been shattered. This is a movement shaken. Now, think about this. Every year, seniors lose thousands through bad Medicare coverage, higher premiums, denied prescriptions, missed benefits. It's kind of like having a hole in your retirement bucket. This is why I partner with Chapter Guys, because their advisors search through every Medicare plan available nationwide to plug the leaks and to protect your money. Now, Leslie Taylor, she didn't even realize that her Medicare plan was leaking $1,000 a year until she called Chapter and Chapter showed her what was going on behind the scenes. So now that money is back in her pocket. God bless, right? So here's my question. Are you okay with letting your Medicare plan drain your savings unnecessarily, or do you want to do what most people are already doing? Now, most people, they're calling the phone number on the bottom of your screen right there, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. The phone number is 909-563-8279. And just when America needed the truth the most, our media delivered lies, spin, and gaslighting. Within hours, guys, I'm talking hours of Charlie Kirk's assassination, MSNBC, of all channels, they jumped in with the narrative. Now, one pundit shrugged it off as if it might have been a supporter's gun going off in celebration.
We don't know any of the full details of this. We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this.
A supporter. Did you guys hear about this? This is ridiculous. Celebration? Are you kidding me, guys? A 31-year-old father is bleeding out on a college campus, and their instinct is to make jokes and mock and minimize the situation. There's a special warm place in hell for this person. And then came the dagger. Another commentator flat out implied that Charlie brought this on himself, that his so-called hate speech, right? That his so-called hate speech created the environment of his own death. Now, think about how sick that is. The victim is blamed while the assassin is excused. I can't even make this stuff up, guys. I cannot.
Sympathy to Charlie Kirk's family and to Charlie Kirk, who obviously we've seen other political violence occur in other states. And I would just say it's got to stop. And I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country. I think the president's rhetoric often foments it. We've seen the January 6th rioters.
Now, sure, MSNBC eventually issued an apology after getting called out. But let's be honest, guys, that apology was only for the cameras. It was PR. Nobody got fired. Nobody faced any consequences. And until there's accountability, the message remains the exact same. Political violence is excusable as long as the victim is conservative. Meanwhile, the New York Yankees, of all people, showed more courage than the media elites. Before their game, they stood tall, they held a moment of silence, and they honored Charlie Kirk. Now imagine that, a baseball team doing what the so-called guardians of democracy refuse to do. Now, here's the real kicker, guys. When media justifies violence, when they smirk through tragedy, they aren't reporting on it. They're normalizing it, okay? They're whispering to the next assassin, oh, go ahead. We'll cover for you. We'll spin it for you. We'll make excuses. It's terrible. So clearly this is not journalism, folks. This is complacency. I mean, and this is why the media's response to this assassination may be just as dangerous as the bullet that killed Charlie Kirk. But America, do not fool yourself into thinking that this is an isolated tragedy. No, this is part of a bigger pattern. This is part of a storm that has been building for years. And I want to connect the dots. Now, first of all, I think, and you let me know if I'm alone in thinking this, I think Charlie Kirk could possibly have been a future president of the United States, and they couldn't let that happen. But let's connect the dots. President Donald J. Trump, our president, was shot earlier this year. A sitting president. Okay, technically it was last year, but you get my point. Wounded, and the left laughed it off like it was some kind of a meme. Justice Brett Kavanaugh. He was nearly assassinated outside of his own home. There was a man that was caught with weapons, ready to pull the trigger, but why? Because he dared to uphold the Constitution. Elon Musk, his cars were firebombed, a direct attack on the man who built platforms to challenge the establishment. You got 2 Jewish Americans gunned down outside the embassy in Washington, D.C. Political and religious hatred just spilling out into our capital city. Then you got Rand Paul. His ribs got crushed by a neighbor in an act of rage that was cheered on by some progressives online. Imagine this, applauding when a senator is beaten within an inch of his life. And it doesn't stop there, guys. ICE agents forced to hide their identities, wearing masks so that their wives and their kids don't become targets of harassment and threats. Families living in fear, not because they broke the law, but because they enforced the law. Do you see the picture now? Do you see the escalation? Each of these attacks, each of these acts is a brick in the wall of political violence. And Charlie Kirk's assassination, I can't even believe I'm saying that. His assassination is the moment the wall collapsed on all of us. This is not coincidence. This is not random. This is the normalization of political terror in America. And every single one of these attacks, it sends the same message. If you stand up, if you resist, if you fight for truth, then you're next. And then, after Charlie Kirk's death, that message is louder than ever. Now, here's a terrifying reality that America has to face. Charlie Kirk's assassination proves that no one, not the famous, not the ordinary, not the loud, not even the quiet, is off limits anymore. The FBI is already tracking chatter online. You know what they're finding? Not grief, not shock, but threats. Threats against conservative podcasters, threats against pastors, threats against students, even threats against ordinary families just for posting Bible verses or MAGA hats online. One viral post said it outright. You're next. Now let that sink in. That's not a warning. That is a declaration. That is a death sentence for anyone bold enough to speak truth in Biden's America or whatever's left of it. But think about the climate that this creates. ICE agents wearing masks because their children are getting death threats. Because Charlie Kirk wasn't some faceless online figure. He was the leader of a movement. He filled arenas. He debated on campuses. He built communities. And yet one bullet silenced him. So what does this mean for the rest, right? Now, this fallout wasn't just one life lost. It was about millions of Americans realizing that their freedom of speech now carries a price tag. And the question that we're all forced to ask is, are you willing to pay it? Now, President Trump, even under his leadership with America pushing back against globalists and elites, violence is rising inside of our borders. Charlie Kirk's death is not just another story in the news cycle, guys. This is clearly a turning point in American history. Think about it. Just like JFK's assassination changed how Americans trusted their government, just like how 9/11, which is tomorrow technically, I wonder if there's a link there. Tomorrow is 9/11. But anyway, just how 9/11 changed how Americans view their own safety. Charlie Kirk's assassination has changed how Americans see free speech itself. This wasn't random. This was not chaos. This was a political assassination carried out on a college campus, the very place that's supposed to be the arena of ideas. The assassin didn't just take Charlie or target Charlie Kirk, the man. He targeted Charlie Kirk, the idea, free speech, free debate, conservative values, faith, family, patriotism. And America must ask itself, what comes next? Are we now standing on the edge of a civil conflict where assassination becomes the norm? Are we about to witness a generation silenced by fear before it ever has a chance to speak? Charlie's death is a line in the sand because before September 10th, 2025, political violence was accelerating. After September 10th, 2025, it's officially out in the open. So the question is no longer, will America survive this? The question is, what are we going to do about this? Because if this is the beginning of open political warfare in America, then, silence is surrender. And surrender means the end of the republic as we know it. So let's make something abundantly clear. Charlie Kirk was not assassinated because he was violent. He wasn't taken out because he was corrupt. He was killed because he answered questions. He asked questions because he told the truth. And that's the most dangerous weapon against the left's agenda. Truth spoken out loud. Now, Charlie believed in free speech. He believed in challenging ideas. And for that, they put a target on his back. But if we give in to fear, if we silence ourselves, then the assassin wins. The movement dies. America loses. This is why more than ever, you just cannot be silent. This isn't the time to whisper. This is the time to speak louder. This is the time to push harder. This is the time to make sure that Charlie's death wasn't in vain. So tonight we honor Charlie Kirk, the husband, the father, the Christian, the fighter, the young leader who carried the spirit of America's founders in his heart until the very end. Rest in peace, Charlie. Your voice will echo long after the bullet meant to silence you. But America, guys, you have to understand this. If we bow to fear, if we shrink back into silence, then the assassins, they've won. But if we rise, if we speak louder, if we unite around the truth and freedom, then Charlie Kirk's death becomes a turning point. Because let me tell you this, if they think that we're going to go quiet, if they think killing Charlie Kirk ends the fight, then they've made the biggest mistake of all. This is not the end. This is only the beginning.